Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where last episode we designed the Zarya module, which is the very first International Space Station module, and now we need to deliver it into orbit. Now I have made a tiny change. I've removed the fuel tank that was here because I feel like with this fuel tank adapter and this fuel tank adapter, we've got sufficient fuel in this module and it felt a little too tall. So I've done that. I've also added in a Probodobodyne Octo 2 here for purposes of being able to deorbit these bits. Otherwise, this is all our standard Proton rocket, and we're going to be launching this, well, right now. So let's save that, and let's put it out on the pad. This is, hang on a moment, this is the wrong pad. This is going to be putting it onto the equatorial pad. I intended for this to go onto Woomerang. I apologize for that. I'll be back once we're on Woomerang. Okay, so here we are, loaded into Woomerang. It's, of course, a little bit laggy, as Woomerang tends to be. There's a lot of trees and grass and stuff. So let's just get out of here as soon as we can. Although I am realizing that these guys need to be moved, like, up here. There's maybe some staging issues here. Let's throttle this up. SAS on for now is fine, but I'm actually going to go to surface up. And let's just get on out of here. I've already run a test to determine what orbital inclination we need to be going to. Our target orbital inclination, I want to be clear here, we're targeting a 422 kilometer apoapsis. And let me just pull up the actual orbital characteristics here. So 422 kilometer apogee, 413 kilometer perigee, and 51.64 degree inclination. Now, our tooling doesn't give us double-digit inclination. There's probably a mod to do that, and Flight Engineer might do that somewhere, but if it does, I'm not actually sure where. We're just going to be targeting 51.6, and we're going to leave off the 100th. That's going to be the best that we can do. So off we go, very slowly, and I've determined that we need to be going approximately 61 to 67 degrees over here. It's going to be a similar inclination as Mir, but not quite the same. So we're going to be orbiting in a slight inclination for sure. It'll be a little easier to get to equatorially, but that's absolutely fine for right now. So we're just going to lift this off. We'll deal with staging as we need to. We're just going straight up for the time being, although we may want to start getting some horizontal speed here. We can see this is like 74 degrees. We need to make our way down a little bit here. Yeah. I don't want to be on up, thanks. Stop that. Okay, so we're going to make our way over this direction. We want to continue to roll here. We're at about 70 degrees. We need this inclination to be more along the lines of like 60. So I'm going to park us here for right now. And I want to hop over into advanced orbital info. We'll keep an eye on that inclination. And for now, that's looking reasonably fine-ish. We're just working on bringing that inclination on up. And eventually, that's going to be, you know, changed. But for now, this is fine. We're just going to continue to push up through the atmosphere. We do need a lot of horizontal speed. There's no doubt about that. So let's just make our way right on over at this point, over to the horizon. We've got a fair amount of apoapsis here. We do see some bending happening here. So I'm actually going to just hang out here for the moment. We're at 66 degrees for the time being. That seems reasonably okay. I'm going to hold here until perhaps these side boosters detach in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, side boosters are out of here. We're going to go to horizontal velocity up for the time being. Now, our steering is going to be a little on the slow side here, and we can see our inclination is still only 49.5 degrees. We're a little bit off here. We want 51.6. We're going to work on correcting that soon enough, but first, let's get our way over to the horizon. We can ditch this fairing, which we'll do right now. And that looks good. That will, of course, save us a little bit of weight. And we're just looking to... Yeah, our heading is currently 68 degrees. I think we need to go down a little bit here. So let's just align on the horizon for the moment. And then we're going to swap over to Killrot as soon as we feel like we are far enough on the horizon. This is good enough, I think. And I want to head downward here. Okay. We're keeping an eye on this inclination, 50 degrees right now. 51.6 is our target, so I'm just going to park us at 45 degrees for the moment. And we're going to go to horizontal velocity up here in just a moment. However, we're about to lose this stage. Okay, looks good. 51.2. At 51.4, I'm going to head back to horizontal velocity up. So we're at 51.3. And 51.4. We're going to head back up. We might hit 51.5. We'll see. I'm going to put us back at kill rot here. Actually, I'm going to bring this down a little further. We need a little bit more inclination here. This didn't move quite as much as I was expecting it to. Okay. 51.5 and just holding here until 51.6. Then we'll go to horizontal velocity up. There we go. Cool. Hopefully we don't tick up to 51.7. We need to be about halfway between, not quite halfway. So we'll just be parking here. And now it's a good long burn until 422 for our apoapsis height. So 422 kilometers with a periapsis, this is Kerbal, so it's not a perigee. Periapsis of 413 is going to be our target. Okay, so our inclination is looking good. No major issues there right now. We've launched into a reasonable inclination. I say reasonable. We've launched into our target inclination. We also know that we want these here to be moved up. What is this? This is these service bays? Enabling cutaway. Okay. We probably don't ever want to enable cutaway, so let's move these on up to here. The fairing is fine here. Yeah, this would be completely okay. So we're just parking here for now, 51.6, and we've got a fair amount of burn to go. We should probably remember to extend our solar panels. That is generally a helpful thing to do. So we'll do exactly that. Phenomenal. And the next part that we're going to be bringing up is actually kind of interesting. It's going to be a triple mission with the space shuttle. So we'll see how we want to pack all that into the space shuttle service bay. That'll certainly be fascinating. But it should be absolutely fine. No major issues there. So we're currently at 270. We're now entering into a proper orbit. Although it's not going to be circularized. That's for sure. But we're just chilling here at horizontal velocity up for now. We need about 100 more kilometers in our apoapsis, and we're going to be there relatively soon here. We've got plenty of delta V here, no doubt about that. So let's just bring this on up to 375. There we go. 380, 390, 400, 410. Okay, 421.5. I'm going to bring this up just that tiny bit more. Okay, that is 0.7 meters away from our target. I'm going to thrust limit this guy right on down. 0.5% of thrust. Now that's precision. It's not going to stay there. It's not going to stay there. We need to get this into a proper orbit now. And that, of course, means going out to this apoapsis, and I'm not sure where the apoapsis and periapsis are technically supposed to be, but it doesn't really matter for our purposes. I'm going to bring this out to I want to double check that. 413, 413. Double checked, and let's bring that right on out. So that's 417. 414, 413, approximately like this. This is definitely close enough. We don't have to be within these crazy tight situations, but this will be fine for now. I want to unthrust limit this, and we're going to align to this node. This burn is going to be in about 14 minutes, which is unsurprising. And it's going to be 188.8 meters per second. So obviously this is a little overpowered, right? This stage is actually completely and totally wasted. Now that I think about it, this is going to have a hard time turning, isn't it? Because all we have for battery on here is this Octo 2. So that has 5 electric charge. And it has absolutely nothing in terms of ability to rotate on its own. Yeah, that's something we might want to adjust here. For now, we're going to get into position. There we go. And we've got about 12 minutes until this burn, so let's head on up. Getting ourselves into a nice high orbit here. Although technically in reality, this is not really that high of an orbit. But our burn is going to start in about 1 minute here, 50 seconds, 40, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay, so obviously our apoapsis height is going to change a little bit over the course of this burn. It's not going to be absolutely perfect. We don't expect it to be absolutely perfect. That kind of perfectionism, we're not aiming for it. We are, however, going to be passing the apoapsis here quite soon. We did burn this slightly early, so it's fine. This is going to definitely be close enough. I just want to be in orbital prograde right now. I don't actually care about this maneuver. We just want to bring this up to 413 at this juncture. So we're just going to accelerate this right on up. 380, 390, 400, 410. Okay, so we just need a tiny, tiny bit more. That's good enough. We're going to call that fine. It's going to get messed up anyway by docking and things like that, so this is definitely close enough to our target orbit. 51.6 degree inclination, 422, 413. I like it. That is all we're angling for. Yeah, we could make it more accurate, but we're not going to do that. Now, the real question is, how are we going to go about deorbiting this? Well, I'd like to turn us around to retrograde here. We're going to lack a source of power out over here. So really what we're going to need to do is get this started turning and then undock this once the momentum is a little bit more built up. Like that. Then this we're going to put back at prograde. And now we kind of have to wait for this to clear. So we're going to have some electric charge issues here. But this is going to be tumbling around here. I do not want to time warp this. We want to just get this into position for the retrograde burn and then start up the burn. Hopefully we're not pointing at the module when that happens. That would be mildly awkward if we are, but we want to deorbit this thing. It looks like we're going to be clear. Yeah, we're definitely going to be clear here. No doubt about that. Okay. So I'm commencing a very minor burn here to generate us some power and get us positioned correctly. We're clear of this module, so let's bring this guy right on down. We're going to put it into a crashing trajectory here. We do not need this anymore. Our Zarya module is in position. So that is absolutely great. And let's get this guy deorbited. Next up, of course, we're going to have to work on 3 modules. There are 2 very small modules and 1 fairly small module. So let's see how we want to do that. I'm thinking about how we want to do, like, the arm grab points. I'm not 100% certain on that one yet. We'll see how we want to get that done. For now, I'm not content with the disassembly and reassembly option that we did with the spacewalk with Mir. I want to actually dock it up with the arm. That would be ideal. So the actual Zarya module is not close enough here. We'll have to set that as our target, or actually set that as we want to switch to it. There we go. Cool. We don't care about the debris that is going to be crashing back to Kerbal. That is absolutely fine at this point, but here is our International Space Station. It needs some work. There's no doubt about that. It's not quite there yet, but it is in an approximately correct orbit. And yeah, we can see just that decoupling dropped our periapsis by 0.5 kilometer. That's not surprising. These sorts of things are going to happen. We could boost it back up. That's definitely a thing that we could do. So we would just like warp back around to the apoapsis. We would turn these engines on. What? That was supposed to turn the engines on. That was not supposed to detach all of the shelves in our shelving units. Complete with the solar panels. Well, that's exciting. Okay, I'm going to call that a failure. And what we're going to do is we're going to... Oh, right, we can't revert this at this point. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to deorbit this with the fuel that we have on board. So let's bring this around to retrograde. And I'm going to put a replacement module in orbit off camera. When I come back, this will be gone. These engines won't activate. That is bizarre. Why do we have to manually activate these engines? And it skipped the stage. Okay, whatever. I guess this gives us a chance to test whether this overheats this fuel tank. And it looks like the answer is no. But it also doesn't give us any thrust whatsoever. What? These twitches aren't working. Is it because they're occluded by this fuel adapter? That would be the assumption. But this is doing literally nothing right now. It must be due to... I would expect that this would ricochet off. It would reduce effectiveness, but that it wouldn't completely halt effectiveness. That's interesting. Well, clearly this has issues. I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so I've got ourselves another one here. And this time I've moved the twitches down to here. I still had to manually activate them, but they seem to actually provide thrust now. I have tested because our apoapsis height ended up being about 2 kilometers lower than the target. So I brought that right on up, and this appears to be fine now, as long as we don't actuate the enable cutaway on these service modules. So we're going to not do that. Thank you very much. So that is this module complete. That is great. Let's head on back to the VAB. And that'll be absolutely fine. So now we're going to need to design our next 2 modules. And that is going to be interesting. It's going to need to be the Unity and the 2 PMA modules, PMA1 and PMA2. Now that's the pressurized mating adapter, which the PMAs are essentially joining the Russian adapters with the US adapters. For the purposes of this, I'm going to call the large adapters the Russian ones, and the small adapters are going to be the US ones. So we're going to need to have a small adapter on the shuttle, and then a docking port on the shuttle. And then we're going to need an adapter to adapt between the large and the small, is the idea here. So we're going to open up our shuttle, and we'll make the Unity module as well if we've got time here. I want to open up shuttle here. There we go. And I'm going to call this the Unity module. We're going to save that. And for now, we're going to need to be working in our cargo bay. So this docking port here needs to go away. We're going to get rid of that if I can select it. Apparently, I cannot select it. That's exciting. Why can't I move any parts here? Okay, we're running into issues. Is it because this is open? Oh, I guess because this tooltip, or not exactly tooltip, but this drop-down menu is stuck open. Okay, that's a very strange issue. We don't want to have that, of course, and we're going to have a regular, or rather, a docking port junior. But I'm going to start this with the advanced grabbing unit being what's attached to the arm. So that'll be on there, and the docking port junior is going to be down here as a, temporary thing. Now, this RCS tank, probably doesn't need to be this big. It is eating up a lot of space. However, we can certainly do something like this to store the arm in a more compact manner. And we're definitely going to be doing that. We're going to need a couple of docking adapters on here, right? So first things first, I'm going to actually move this guy to be up here for the time being. Then, I'm going to do, and this will be maybe a little weird, we'll try this first and see if this works. I'm going to put an engine plate here. An EP12 would not exactly be what I'm looking for here. EP37 is way too big. EP25, that's the guy that we're looking for. So I want 3 nodes here, but really I want this to be like a 4x1 node. So that'll do for right now. And what I want here, we're going to need to be able to grab these and like bend them out so that we can grab them easily with our arm. So we're going to need to be able to deploy these, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm actually thinking about having this be down here on the base. So we would move these rechargeable batteries to be out over here. Oh, this should be in mirror symmetry. There we go. So I'm going to move these guys out here. And this set of batteries is kind of tucked away, but I'm going to move them out as well. Okay, that gives us a little bit more space to work with over here. Now, we don't really like to put things on the base here, do we? Okay, well, I want to think about this. Well, we definitely know that we're going to need a docking port here, so we're going to need a large docking port. This is like the Russian docking port, right? So we're going to put 2 of these on. It's in mirror mode right now, and I guess that's okay. It actually only put 1 on. That's fine. So we're going to take this off of symmetry, and I'll put another one in over here if we can rotate it correctly. It really doesn't want to go in here. Okay. I'm going to move this engine plate somewhere more workable for the time being. Like where? Down here? I mean, that's not exactly more workable. Because of the shroud. Yeah, let's not do that. We could take this nose off temporarily and put it up here. I guess that works. So then we would need to grab this docking port, which has managed to snap all the way through like that, which is awkward. I want it to be there for right now. Okay. So for the moment, this is reasonably fine. We're going to need to adapt these down to a docking port junior, right? So let's grab one of those, and then let's grab a let's grab an adapter here. So I want this to be a pretty small adapter, but this should really be not a fuel adapter, or if it is a fuel adapter, it should be empty. Something like this. That'll work. And then we just make sure that there's no fuel in it, right? So these would be the adapters here. Like that. Now, I would like them to be spaced out a little bit. Yeah, we're going to run into some space issues here. Okay, noted. We'll have to think about that when we get to the Unity module. Now, how are we going to deploy these? We could actually have this be hinged here. So a hinge would be something like, that's maybe a bit on the big side, something like this guy. I'd like it to snap directly onto this attach point, which it really, really doesn't want to do inside of there. So for now, we could just put this guy up here, and we would then grab this hinge, and we would snap it on like that. Then we'd put an angle like so. Then we would put on this engine plate on top of that hinge. So it would end up going something kind of like this. So that way, when we're looking to deploy it, we can simply go yoink and have it go out to, you know, around here or so. And now it's going to be much easier for us to grab in a reasonable place. One other thing I want to think about, though, is I want to think about being able to rotate this. So that would end up meaning that we would bring this back to 90 for now. Take this guy off of here for the moment, and we would do a rotation servo. So once we have it grabbed on, I want to be able to rotate it from right here, right? So we would put a rotation servo onto here. I want it to be properly snapped on. There we go. And then this guy would go right there. Perfect. So now we can rotate whatever we have grabbed. That'll be a very helpful thing for us as we attempt to manipulate this. Yeah, the traverse rate is fine. I don't care about that. I want this to be at a default of 0. And we'll store this back at 180. That'll be fine for now. It doesn't poke through, so it should be okay. Cool. So now we'll be able to grab these and attach them where they need to go. So now what we need is the Unity module itself. We're not quite ready to put that in, though. We're going to have to figure out where that goes. And it is about time to put a cut in here. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back into here for now. We're going to put our aerodynamic nose cone back on. And next episode, we're going to construct the Unity module and bring this right on up. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy Magar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.